My name is Harper Lyons, and I'm 31 years old. A few months ago, if you looked at my life on paper, you'd probably say I had it together. Tiny but bright apartment, every bill on autopay, reliable car, retirement account. I built my life one spreadsheet at a time. I was the sensible friend, the one people called during financial emergencies because I could look at numbers without panicking. And I thought I was being just as sensible about love. I'd been with my boyfriend Ethan Cole for 4 years, engaged for 6 months. Our anniversary wasn't just the day we started dating. It was also the night he proposed in a little Italian restaurant with flickering candles and a nervous smile. So when this year's anniversary came around, I booked the same place. Same table by the window, same waiter, Marco, who'd taken shaky proposal photos while I cried into my napkin. I told Ethan 3 weeks ahead of time. I watched him add it to his calendar. 7:30 Tuesday. Don't be late, I teased. Wouldn't dream of it, he said. I even bought him a watch he'd been eyeing online. I wanted to give it to him over dessert and make some cheesy joke about forever. That morning, he kissed me goodbye at the door. See you at 7:30, Harp. Can't wait. There had been little things lately. His phone face down more often, late nights at the gym studio, mentions of catching up with old friends, but nothing that screamed danger. If something felt off, I spreadsheeted over it. That's what I do. That afternoon, I left work early, got my hair done, went home to get ready. At 5 p.m., I texted him. Heading home, you better be on time, Cole. Wouldn't miss it, love you. Love you too. By 7:20, I was at the restaurant. Marco had champagne waiting and lilies because he remembered they were my favorite. 7:30 came. Then 7:45. No message. At 7:48, I texted him, Hey, traffic bad? Read. No response. At 8:10, I called him. 2 rings. Declined. That was the moment my stomach dropped. If he were driving, it would have rung out. If he were hurt, someone would have called. He chose to reject my call. By 8:45, I paid for the untouched champagne and drove home alone. The apartment was dark. His car wasn't there. Everything looked normal except me. I stood in the bedroom staring at the wrapped watch box, feeling something tilt inside me. Then his tablet pinged on the kitchen counter. I told myself not to look. Then I remembered him declining my call while I sat alone at the restaurant where he'd proposed. The notification was from an old messaging app. The name on the screen made my chest tighten. Kara Evans. His ex. The one he'd promised he stopped talking to when we got engaged. I opened the messages. At first, they looked harmless. Catching up. Memories. Compliments. Then they shifted. Too familiar. Too eager. I scrolled to the messages from that day. Our anniversary. Kara. Still good for tonight? Ethan. Yeah, can't believe I finally get to see your new place. I'll make it worth it. I'll tell Harper I'm at Claire's. She's obsessed with that anniversary date anyway. I told you it's next week. My hands went cold. He hadn't forgotten our anniversary. He lied about the date so he could spend the real one with her. Further down, another message. Almost there, babe. Traffic's wild. Timestamp. 8:47 p.m. The exact moment I was sitting alone in that restaurant. Something inside me went very, very quiet. I opened my laptop. First, the wedding vendors. Venue, photographer, caterer, DJ. Every contract was under my name. My card on file. One by one, I canceled everything. $8,000 in deposits vanished with a few emails. It felt like setting money on fire. But I realized I'd rather lose the money than spend years married to someone who could lie this easily. Then I started packing his things. Not dramatically, methodically. Clothes, shoes, gym gear, gaming consoles. I even carefully wrapped family heirlooms and labeled the boxes with his last name. By 4 a.m., the living room looked like a moving truck exploded. At 4:15, I heard his car pull in. The door opened quietly. Ethan walked in holding his shoes, shirt wrinkled, hair flattened like he'd been lying on someone else's pillow. He froze when he saw the boxes. Wow, he said. Little dramatic, Harp. Interesting time to get home from Claire's, I replied. He shrugged. We lost track of time. That almost hurt more than the cheating. The casualness. I held up the tablet. That's weird, because according to your messages, you weren't at Claire's. His eyes flicked toward the screen. Just long enough. What were you doing on my tablet? He snapped. That's a violation. Seriously? I read one message out loud. Kara really appreciated you remembering that rooftop night. His face drained of color. It's not what you think, he started. That you lied about our anniversary so you could spend it with your ex? Then he did something I'll never forget. He rolled his eyes. You're freaking out because I went to see a friend, he said. Do you hear how controlling you sound? Something clicked into place inside me. Not anymore, I said quietly. I handed him the folder with all the wedding cancellation confirmations. He flipped through the pages, stunned. You canceled everything? What wedding, Ethan? I asked. You can't marry someone you're cheating on. He stormed out, calling me emotional and dramatic. The next morning, his sister Ava called me. What did you do to Ethan? She asked. He showed up here at 5 a.m. saying you kicked him out. I didn't do anything to him, I said calmly. He did this to himself. At first, she defended him. Then I told her the truth. He was with Kara on our anniversary. I read the messages. Silence. He told me he was at a friend's place, she whispered. Apparently he's running out of fake names, I said. She never called back. Wednesday. Ethan came to pick up his things. I told him the boxes were in the living room and that I'd be out. I lied. I parked down the street where I could see the building entrance. He loaded the boxes into his trunk, checked his phone, and drove off. Not toward Ava's, toward the yoga district. I followed him. He pulled into a condo complex I recognized from Kara's social media. Then she came outside wearing one of his hoodies and kissed him in broad daylight. Any tiny lingering hope I hadn't realized I still had disappeared right there. The next day, he called from Ava's phone. We need to talk about the wedding deposits, he said. What about them? I want half back. I almost laughed. Half of the deposits I paid while you were sleeping over at your ex's condo? For the last time, nothing happened, he snapped. We just talked. At 4 a.m.? You're blowing this out of proportion. No, I said. I'm responding appropriately. Then he said the most unbelievable thing. You should have reminded me about the date. I stared at the phone in disbelief. I did remind you, Ethan. 3 weeks ago. You put it in your calendar. Then he tried another angle. I'm homeless because of you. No, I replied calmly. You're homeless because you cheated. He hung up. 20 minutes later, I got a payment request notification. Ethan Cole requests $4,000, half of wedding deposits you stole. I declined it and blocked him. Then he made an even bigger mistake. He posted on social media. When insecure women cancel your wedding because they're threatened by platonic friendships, consider yourself lucky. At first, people supported him. Then Nate commented, Wait, didn't you ditch Harper on your anniversary to hang out with your ex? The entire comment section shifted. People started asking questions, mentioning the dinner plans, mentioning his car near Kara's condo. Within an hour, Ethan deleted the post. Too late. Screenshots were already everywhere. That afternoon, I got a message from a man named Logan, Kara's boyfriend. Actually boyfriend, not ex. He asked if Ethan had been with Kara that night. I met him at a coffee shop and showed him the screenshots. Logan stayed eerily calm as he read them. Then he looked up at me and said something that sent a chill down my spine. Cheating on their partners isn't the only way they've been careless. Turns out Kara and Ethan had also been messing around financially inside the yoga business Logan partially owned. 3 days later, the studio announced Ethan was no longer affiliated with them due to misuse of company resources and unprofessional conduct. Then everything collapsed. Sponsors dropped him. The studio bought him out. Security footage surfaced of him bringing multiple women into the studio after hours. Not just Kara, multiple women. Kara found out she wasn't even the only side relationship. She eventually called me crying. I thought I was special, she sobbed. I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered her kissing him while I sat alone at that restaurant. 1 week later, I ran into Ava at the grocery store. Ethan moved back home, she said quietly. He's helping Dad at the workshop now. He's humbled. And Kara? Back at her parents' place, working at her dad's hardware store. And Logan? His studio was booming. Funny how life reshuffles itself. That night, Ethan texted me from his old number. I threw away 4 years for 2 months of attention from someone who didn't even know my middle name. You deserve better. I'm sorry, Harper. I stared at the message for a long time. Not because I wanted him back, but because of the ghost of the life I thought we were building. I never replied. A few days later, I returned the engagement pendant he'd bought me. Then I used the refund money to book a solo trip to New Zealand. A month later, I stood overlooking Milford Sound with wind in my hair and realized something. I wasn't devastated anymore. I was free. When I came home, I rearranged the apartment. New furniture, new lamp, new energy. Then I started hiking again. That's where I met Daniel. Calm, kind, the kind of man who carried extra water for other people without making a big deal about it. We hiked side by side all afternoon, talking about photography and travel. At the summit, he lifted his camera slightly and asked, "Can I take your picture?" Not assuming, asking. It was the first photo of myself I'd liked in a long time. A week later, we got coffee. He listened when I talked. He didn't rush me, didn't interrupt, didn't make me feel small. When I mentioned the breakup, he just said quietly, "I'm glad you left. You deserved more than that." Simple, honest, gentle. It hit harder than every apology Ethan ever sent. I don't know where things with Daniel will go. We're taking it slow. But my life is steady again. Mine. And sometimes people ask if I regret losing the $8,000 in wedding deposits. Honestly, that money didn't buy a wedding. It bought my freedom. Because the night Ethan walked into that apartment trying to make his betrayal my fault, he had no idea something much bigger had changed. Not just the locks. Me. Not anymore, Ethan. Not ever again.